setting new standards in podcast excellence. You have joined the WBT, fully focused on business and taxes. Here is your host, Michael Lodge.
And good morning, this is Michael Lodge. I'm glad you're with me. It's a Friday morning. I did not know it was Friday already. I must have lost a few days. I've been so busy here in my office just working away at various different projects for clients and doing marketing and everything else that you do to run a business. But I have been really busy. So what are we going to talk about this morning? Well, we're going to talk about why we as Americans just stand by and watch somebody die. I'll be right back. Listen, with every single crisis, there is a need for mediation because there are disputes and conflicts. I'm a certified mediator. This is Mike Lodge. Send me a text at 818-252-5682 and I can help you.
World of business and taxes on WBT.
So I'm truly amazed at what has happened to this nation. Here we see an individual, George Floyd, on the ground with a knee to the back of the head by a police officer being killed, knowing that as we watch that video, he is just minutes or seconds away of losing his life. And there was an individual there filming the incident who did nothing. There were 4 of the police officers there who did nothing. There were people in the crowd who did nothing. When did Americans become this nation that we do nothing? When we see somebody else in trouble, we do nothing. I have seen this time and time again. We have had so many people who have died because of one bad cop when there are 99% of the cops that are good cops doing their job, trying to protect the American people. But we see one bad cop that destroys the life of an individual, of a family, of a whole community. And then the whole community gears up and goes into action of wanting to do a peaceful kind of protest. And then you have thugs coming in, taking control and disrupting everything and making it look even worse. By them destroying a Target store, an apartment building, and burning these things down, that is not justice. In fact, that is breaking the law. That is civil disobedience. That has nothing to do with the death of an innocent man. It has nothing to do with that. And if we see people looting these stores and taking stuff out of them, how does taking a video game out of a store, stealing it out of a store, justify or even support of what happened of this man, a member of your community? Where is your heart? Where is your ethics? Where is your moral standards? This whole thing has been a disaster. An innocent man gets killed A police officer is not arrested for being murdered. The 4 police officers standing by still have their jobs. They did nothing to stop the other police officer. Excuse me. They did nothing. The individuals in that crowd and who are taking all the videos did nothing. I have to say this over and over again. They did nothing. So I have to think about, if this should ever happen to me, is anybody going to stand up for me? Am I just out on my own now because I have no Americans that are going to stand up for the mistreatment of me as an individual, as a fellow American? When did Americans become so weak? When did they become so passive and not... They're just more worried about taking a video and getting it on the news, but they do nothing to help that individual. If they even made any money from that video, they should be donating that to the family of the deceased man, not putting it in their pockets. But I'm just flabbergasted. I'm flabbergasted because we literally saw a man taking his last breath of life, and not one single American did anything to help that individual. And where was the police department, who have an oversight board that looks at police officers who have a problem? This police officer had several misconducts, complaints against him. He had a history, and they did nothing. Where was that oversight board? I am just sitting here putting myself in the place of this family as they have to watch this video over and over and over, and they saw their loving brother and nephew and cousin literally on a video sitting there with a knee to the back of his neck, draining all of the oxygen out of his life. And no one did anything. So those individuals who were standing there on that street and saw this happen and did nothing, that blood of that young man is on their hands because they did nothing. I was thinking about just this morning as I was listening to another radio host talk about this, and she asked the question, would she have done something? Would she have jumped in and said, "Stop this"? The poor guy already had handcuffs on his hands. He wasn't going anywhere. He was on the ground. There didn't have to be a police officer on top of him, draining the life out of him. So I would ask of myself, would I have done anything? Now, my personal response would be, yes, I think I would have done something. I would have been yelling at those other police officers at the top of my voice, and I probably would have jumped in and pulled that officer off. And I don't care if it's an assault on an officer, if he's killing somebody. Go ahead, lock me up. That's fine. As long as that individual was able to maintain his life. But for a police officer to drain the life out of him on video, it's disgusting. We have to ask ourselves as Americans, do we have the moral fiber, the ethics within us to step in and say, hey, what you're doing is wrong. Stop it. I demand it. I am a citizen of this United States, and I demand you to stop that. The eyes are now buring into police officers at this moment because of one bad officer who had a record. He had a record. As an American, you and I, we've got to ask the question, how strong is our ethics? How strong is our morals that we would step in and try and stop something like this? Because remember, that could be you. That could be me on that floor, on that ground, with a knee to the back of us. Now, I love police officers. I tell you, I love them because they put their lives on the line every single day. They go into some hostage situations. They go into family disruptions and fighting and gunshots and everything. They go into this not knowing what's going to happen. When they arrive on the scene, they put their lives in danger every single moment for me, for you. 99% of them do their job very, very well. But there's just that one individual that can destroy it for them. Over the last few years, we have been really, the police departments and the mayors of cities and governors have tried to, have tried to rebuild the relationship between communities and police departments. And they've done quite a good job at it. But all it takes is just one idiot to destroy the whole process. And now we have to begin rebuilding again. Listen, I'm a mediator. If any of you need mediation work between the police department and the community, or vice versa, the community to the police department, give me a call. I'll do it for free. I will do it for free. I will mediate. I will bring those two sides together and we'll begin talking out the process. But don't take things into your own hands. Call somebody in that can help. So listen, if your community out there is having a problem with you at the police department, or the police department is having a problem with the community, call me. Let me know. My text is 818-252-5682, and I will help you for free. I will not charge you for that. You in Minneapolis, if you need mediation work between the community and the police department, call me. I will be more than happy to do that. I'm a third-party independent out there that I can help you. And I won't charge a dime for it. But I need for Americans to rethink their responsibility to their communities. You know, we hear so much complaining about how bad our communities are, but we do not outreach our hand and try to help. That again, we have to ask ourselves, where is our morality and where is our ethics to our communities? Are we going to go out and loot stores because something bad happens? Or are we going to sit down with our community leaders and try to get something done? It's amazing to me. And those of you who are church-going people, the Bible demands of you to stand up for those who need help. The best book in the Bible, I'm telling you, the best book in the Bible, and I go to it almost every single day, is Proverbs. Proverbs, it's a book of wisdom. And that is a book that we should be reading to build up our morals and build up our ethics in life. Proverbs 31, 8 through 9. Open your mouth for the mute, for the rights of all who are destitute. Open your mouth, judge righteously, defend the rights of the poor and the needy. We are commanded by God to do so. And yet, yesterday, well, not yesterday, but a few days ago when this individual was killed, 4 police officers stood there and was mute. The individuals in the crowd was mute. The individual who took the video was mute and did nothing. And yet we see in Proverbs 31, 8 through 9, we are commanded to open our mouth and do something. And you can find the same thought process throughout the whole Bible in Isaiah, in Psalms, in Ecclesiastics, mostly in Proverbs, and then in John and James. And you can read it almost in every section of the Bible where it talks, stands up for those who need help. And yet, everybody was mute. And as that video rolls, you can see the life being drained out of an innocent man by one single bad police officer who had a record, and yet the city did nothing. His police officers who were standing beside him at the scene did nothing. Everybody was mute. Everybody was mute. No one stood up and took the police officer off this guy. Instead, you and I, as Americans, we have to sit here and we have to watch this video day after day after day as this police officer literally kills a man in front of us, and no one did anything. Doing nothing is not respectable. It is unethical. It shows the worst morals of anybody if you stand there and watch a man be killed innocently. Listen, those of you who are out in the street, stop. If you really want to legitimately protest it, do it in God's name. You can't remain mute. You have to say something. And that's what a protest is all about. But once you start raiding stores and burning down stuff and hurting other people and hurting the livelihoods of other people, you are no longer part of the discussion. You're just a criminal. Those of you who are burning down stuff, you're just criminals. And you have to deal with the arm of the law. But those of you who are out there protesting, who are trying to make a statement, state it. But I also encourage you, besides trying to make that statement, bring in a mediator so that you in your community can sit down with the police departments and work out a situation or a resolve to this problem. And I encourage the city, and the governor, and the FBI, and the Department of Justice, file charges of murder on this person immediately. I hate to say the words, but you got to lock him up. And you got to charge the other 4 police officers for not doing their duty. Let's sit down. Let's talk this out. Let's work this through. But the government has to do their job also. They have enough evidence to show that this individual, this police officer, committed murder and needs to be charged thusly. And those of you who are out there committing crimes and burning down stuff and stealing stuff, you have to deal with the law because you have committed a crime. You just saw a crime committed by a police officer, and now you think that you can go out and commit crimes also. You're wrong. Because you're hurting people in your community. I have no respect for you whatsoever. But I have great respect for those individuals who are legitimately protesting and letting their voice be heard that this kind of things have got to stop. Where is our ethics? Where is our moral compass? We as Americans, we have got to do better in our lives. I tell you, we have got to stand up for what is right and fight what is wrong. And we've seen this happen over and over and over again. And we need to stop. And we need to do what is right. And police officers out there, I want to thank you for your job, but listen, you have got to do what is right. If you are stomping on constitutional rights of Americans because the government says to, you're wrong, and you need to do what is right. Support the Constitution. Those of you who are out there protecting the public, it's your responsibility to protect the public. And when you see something like this with another police officer, you have got to do something. I know that all of you are wearing badges, but that badge gets tainted very quickly when you have one bad officer. One officer who oversteps the boundary of what is right. And we have Americans, when we see something like this, it's our duty to stand up and say, enough is enough. I'm going to stop you. Even if I have to get arrested for this, I am going to stop you. Because draining the life out of an innocent individual is not moral. It's murder. It's unethical. I hope I'm never in that situation. I cross my fingers and hope to die that I'm never in that situation. But if I am, I'm going to step up. And I'm going to stop the death of an individual. Listen, for all of you out there, if you have any questions or comments, send it to Mike Lodge at my company texting, which is 818-252-5682. Again, that's 818-252-5682. And I will respond to every single text that is sent to me. Also, in my notes, I want you to know that I am asking for support and donations and for this podcast, because I do it every week, sometimes every day, depending on my schedule. But I'm trying to get things out there so that you and I, in our business lives, in our personal lives, that we're doing good stuff. We're doing good things. So this podcast and my vlogs and blogs and everything else that I do takes my time, and I really enjoy it. But I need your help also. So if you can go, there's a link I have in the notes of this podcast. Go to it. Join me. I greatly appreciate it. If you're a small business, there's a lot of good business values there. Listen, today's Friday. Let's really think about the way that we think about things in life. And we need to make better choices between the good and the bad. And we need to be more ethical in the way that we think our lives through. Think about it this weekend. Let's do better. Let's do great things for our community. Let's get involved in our communities. Let's donate in some of our time. Be a volunteer, but get involved in your communities. This is Mike Lodge. I'll talk with you soon. Everybody go out and have a really, really great day. Great weekend. I'll talk with you soon. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to the WBT with Michael Lodge. Join us again tomorrow as we explore more about business and taxes. Follow us on iHeartRadio and go to our podcast website at www.wbtpod.com and listen to all of our podcasts and read our blogs.
This podcast is produced by Michael Lodge, fully focused on content.